Jerusalem prepares to relive the most important moment of the year, one for which 700,000 visitors have been waiting. At the vigil of Easter, the Custos of the Holy Land calls on us to embrace a hope which is also a certainty. The High Priest Caiphas and the Crucifixion nails, a sensational discovery or a matter of fantasy. In the footsteps of Jesus to Golgotha, centuries of history, devotion and faith on the way of the cross along the Via Dolorosa in Jerusalem. Akathistos, the most ancient liturgy in honour of the Virgin. It is sung in the Oriental Churches on the last Friday of Lent. According to tradition, it is sung standing up and is a tradition very dear to the Byzantine, Orthodox and Catholic Faithful. Jerusalem, where everyone was born. A brief consideration of the Holy City with the biblicist Friar Frederick Mans. Every Christian is invited to call the Holy Land his own, and again this year the Holy Land asks for your help. Please don't forget the Good Friday collection.
As Easter approaches, Jerusalem makes preparations for its moment of tears. 700,000 visitors are expected, somewhat fewer than last year. Yet this was to be expected given the recent political upheaval in the Arab world. It is nevertheless an impressive figure when one stops to think that the Holy City itself has the same number of inhabitants, 700,000. Among the reasons for this influx is the fact that this year the Catholic and Orthodox Easter celebrations take place on the same date. Apart from the delicate stage in relations between the two peoples who inhabit the Holy Land, an ongoing difficulty for Palestinian Christians, especially those in Gaza, lies in their application for permission to travel to the City of the Resurrection for the celebration of Easter. Yet hope is a virtue that is embraced by local Christians.
It is a hope and also a certainty. The resurrection of Christ tells us that despite so many reports of death, in the Middle East in particular, and in the world in general, the last word of God is one of hope and life. This is not an omen for the future, but a certainty that we can touch. The resurrection concerns the history of salvation, as well as the geography of salvation, and is a fundamental event in our lives. The same applies to the place in which it occurred, the Holy Sepulchre, here in Jerusalem. Preserving the memory of all this is a part of our mission and has incredible significance. It is very important.
The resurrection, writes the Custos, together with the other heads of churches in Jerusalem, in an Easter message, gives us hope to renew our faith and certainly to celebrate a victory over death. Even with the death of Vittorio, the aid worker brutally killed in Gaza, the church in Jerusalem turns again to the only source of hope, Jesus Christ who has risen, as we will rise with him.
When a perfectly preserved ossuary, a stone casket containing the bones of a previously entombed person, was found in Jerusalem in 1990, it was believed by some to contain the remains of the High Priest Caiphas, who called for the crucifixion of Jesus. The discovery of the ossuary made headlines. What was not reported at the time, however, might be even more significant. For a nail, of the type used by the Romans to crucify their victims, is now known to have been enclosed in the ossuary. Why should it have been enclosed in the ossuary of Caiphas? Was it one of the nails that crucified Jesus? Did the high priest live to regret the crucifixion? Speculation abounds, and some have linked this find with an apocryphal gospel found in Turkey and which claims that after the resurrection of Jesus, Caiphas became a disciple of the Messiah. If true, this will throw new light on Scripture, as well as change relations between Christians and Jews. If not, it's simply another of many false trails. In Christian circles, it would appear to be the latter. Friar Eugenio Aliata, an archaeologist at the Studium Biblicum Franciscanum in Jerusalem, said that to find crucifixion nails in tombs here was not unusual, and that a claim that some were found in what is believed to be the tomb of Caiaphas was entirely possible. But he added that further interpretation seemed to be little more than fantasy. In the interests of a documentary film by Simcha Jacobovici, the release of this news was timed to coincide with Holy Week, but whether authentic or not, the find does not alter the widespread belief here in the Holy Land and internationally that Christ has died, Christ is risen, Christ will come again. Via Dolorosa, or Via Crucis, applies to a constantly differing street in the old city of Jerusalem between the site of the Antonia fortress and Golgotha. Tradition associates this route with the way along which Jesus carried his cross. The name dates back to the 16th century, although the practice of commemorating the way of the cross began in the earliest centuries of Christianity.
It was born of a desire of Christians to be at one with Jesus. According to ancient traditions, after the resurrection, Mary, his mother, went alone to visit such holy places. It is a tradition, but it reflects the wish of Christians to be close to Jesus through just such places.
Along this way, pilgrims are enabled to reenact the most important features of the geography of salvation, here on the Via Dolorosa, from the place of his condemnation to the shrine of Calvary in the heart of historical Jerusalem. The evangelists write of 9 specific events that took place during Christ's journey here. But in 1300, popular devotion established the 14 stations, some of them symbolic rather than historical, that we know today, and which are followed here every Friday afternoon.
The only time at which we Christians proclaim Jerusalem to be ours is precisely during the Way of the Cross. Every Friday, even if it is with difficulty, we are able to proclaim our faith here. Friday is a day of encounter. Muslims go to the mosque, Jews to the Western Wall, and we Christians even meet each other along the Via Dolorosa in the Old City. The Franciscans have made the Way of the Cross known throughout the world, but it was chiefly Saint Leonard of Port Maurice who created the devotion.
Although the Friday Way of the Cross is a tradition which has been followed for centuries, groups of pilgrims can be seen walking along the Via Dolorosa in the midst of an Arab street market on any day of the week. Pilgrims from all over the world, from east to west, processing from the place of condemnation to the Holy Sepulchre, a devotion practiced and recommended by many saints, ancient and modern, underlying the fact that the Passion was suffered in a specific place, in the culminating moment of the history of salvation.
Akathistos in Greek means not sitting, because it is a hymn normally sung or recited while standing, as one does when listening to the Gospel, in this case from deep respect for the Mother of God. It is a tradition that belongs to the Catholic and Byzantine, as well as the Orthodox Eastern Churches. It is also sung on each Friday of Lent, and inspires many of the faithful to come to church at 5 in the afternoon to participate in the singing of the oldest hymn dedicated to the Virgin Mary. At the Melkite Church, the Bishop Jules Zre presides over the celebration.
We thank the Virgin Mother for everything, because she said yes on the day of the Annunciation for all of us.
The Eastern Churches recall, apart from the devotion to the Madonna that has characterized all of Christianity, the prayer which monks in the 2nd century recited while standing for an entire night to ask for Mary's intercession for the liberation of Constantinople from a barbarian invasion. As for them, they were terrified by an apparition of a great lady in the sky.
The invading army outside the city saw this lady in the sky with her arm raised and were very much afraid, and by morning the entire force had left the area.
Even today, at the Greek parish of St. James, a hymn composed of 24 stanzas representing the number of letters in the Greek alphabet is sung. Each stanza begins progressively with a letter of this alphabet. In the vicinity of the Holy Sepulchre, this church likewise draws the faithful to take part in the celebration. All standing, they sing for more than 2 hours, ending late in the evening. Finally, everyone selects a flower, perhaps in memory of she, who is the mystical rose. It is important to note that this celebration involved both Catholics and Orthodox, together in the same spiritual chorus of thanksgiving.
We in the Orthodox Church try to cooperate with other churches, especially the Catholic Church. We are close to each other, and we wish to develop this fruitful relationship for the benefit of all the faithful.
And with the help of she, who is the bride of the Church.
Jerusalem, the holy city, the longed-for destination of every pilgrim, especially in Holy Week, when yet more faithful join the millions who have arrived over the years to enter its gates.
And we have in the Bible the beautiful psalms the pilgrims sing before coming from Jerusalem, especially maybe when they started the ascent from Jericho. Those psalms are called the Psalms of the Ascent. You have to go up to see the Lord, not only geographically, but also spiritually. You have to lift up your heart to meet the Lord.
Jerusalem bears the scars of centuries of history, ancient and recent, but it is this feast that is a culmination, the summation of the biblical mystery which speaks of a God who pitches his tent among men, spreading his presence and his works from Jerusalem. To be in Jerusalem is to go back to one's roots, to the house of God, to be there in fulfillment of our destiny, and where we must continue to seek peace and justice for everyone.
It was called Ir HaShalom, the city of peace, Ir HaTzedek, the city of justice. Psalm 87 says, everybody was born in Jerusalem. It's very interesting to remember that King David, when he conquered the city, made a sacrifice to God. And he asked a Jebusite, a pagan, to give him the wood and to give him the animal for the sacrifice. So it means every time the temple has been built, it was with the participation of the Jews and of the pagans. From two nations, Jerusalem has to make one nation of the children of God. Otherwise, Jerusalem forgets his mission. Jerusalem has to be the mother of all the nations. And the mother has different sons. And it's very important for a mother to reconcile the different children when they're fighting. So the mission of Jerusalem is a mission of reconciliation, of building peace. Because peace has to be built every day. It must be built forgiving the other one, accepting the other as he is.
The Holy Land, a place which each Christian is called upon to preserve, to protect, and to call his own. But it needs the support of everyone. Contributing to the Good Friday collection means helping the custody of the Holy Land to support the Christian communities who live in the land of Jesus, and conserving and developing the holy places which are dear to the hearts of every Christian. Contributions help the support of the young, of families, of parishes, and the building of apartments for young couples, as well as the restoration and maintenance of sanctuaries, and of centers of welcome for pilgrims. In addition, they help to support modern media, so that these may continue to communicate all the richness of this land of God. The Holy Land counts on the help of every Christian. The Holy Land asks for your particular help. Please don't forget the Good Friday collection.